Everyone who has an agenda is trying to sell you their ideas. Some people want you to be hyper-independent because that is all they know, and they much prefer to be cynical rather than to work on their traumas or work on changing things that are wrong in society. Whereas some other people, on the other hand, want you to be completely and fully dependent on a man, be it your father, your brother, your boyfriend, your husband, or even your son in some certain cases, because they want to facilitate control over women, or again, that is all they know, and for them it is unfathomable to just envision a world where women live any differently than that. But what if you don't have to choose between these two evils? Hello, my dearest darling friend, and welcome back to The Privilege of Knowing. My name is Anna, and on this channel we discuss everything self-improvement, femininity, growth, and healing. So definitely subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you can start claiming your privilege and you can join our little secret society. It's exclusive. Not everybody can join. So join now. Your man should absolutely take care of you because he is here. His role, his function in your family system is to provide you with safety and security, to be the provider. And in today's society, safety and security and provision is achieved through money. That is how you get shelter. That is how you get food. That is how you stay safe from the elements and from other predators, including other men. But what I think is you should not need your man to take care of you. You should not need somebody else's money to take care of you. As a grown adult woman, you should be able to provide for yourself. You should be able to provide security and safety and shelter for yourself. Because although dependence feels romantic and people call it being a princess, in the configuration that people are currently romanticizing, it is more akin to being a prisoner in a golden cage. Remember that a princess has an entire kingdom at the tip of her finger, and the princesses who do best actually are the ones that are supported by their entire family, by their entire kingdom, and they would have the ability to flee if they needed to. They aren't waiting for a prince or a king or a duke to completely take care of them because they have nothing. No, they actually have money. They actually have some other type of security. So yes, it is trendy to live a soft life, to be a housewife or a stay-at-home mum or a stay-at-home girlfriend even. But you need to understand, as a woman, that softness comes inherently from safety, from confidence in the future, from security. When you don't know what would become of you were anything to happen in your relationship or would anything to happen to your partner, you unknowingly, or sometimes even knowingly, are under an immense amount of stress. And obviously that does not allow you to be in your soft feminine, because softness comes from safety. You can only achieve a soft life once you have achieved a safe life. In recent years, certain movements have pushed women towards a very dangerous trap. The idea that provision automatically equals love, and that a man that provides for you is automatically a good or a perfect man. They make it sound like a man who provides for you financially automatically means safety and longevity in your relationship, that nothing is ever going to happen to you just because he provides today. And on the other hand, being passive financially is framed and sold to us as being feminine and desirable, because a woman who earns her own money, or a woman who has the financial stability and the financial safety, is somehow masculine and not feminine and not desirable. In my book, this type of thinking is a red flag, and only somebody who wants to control you and exert their control of their ideas over you is going to try to make you believe that. In my humble opinion, provision is one of those basic things that men should do in a committed relationship, but it is in no way actually the ultimate proof of longevity, of goodness, or safety and security in your relationship. And you need to understand that, because some men can and will provide for women they don't really care about that much, and they don't care to stay with for the rest of their lives, because they can, because they have that ability, or because it strokes their egos. Some men will provide, not because they are good, reliable, trustworthy family man figures that understand their mission in the family and have the dignity and honor to actually honor their role and their mission, but because they see everything between the two of you as a transaction, and they see you as an adult worker, and so they're paying for your services. And then there are some others who are completely twisted and perverted, and they will do everything for you financially. They will take care of you financially. They will make sure that you fully depend on them, that you fully need them, that you cannot survive on your own, which in and of itself is a form of abuse, but they do that so that you have no other option but to stay with them when they ultimately violate your boundaries. And they will violate your boundaries, because we've already said it, this is already a form of abuse and violation. So what is keeping them from doing the rest? You cannot go anywhere anyway. It is a very sad truth, and some people, some men, some women may not believe me, but you can watch some red pill podcasts, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can go and watch some red pill podcasts and other types of content where many men go on there and expose their erroneous belief systems, and very often they try to dress them up as either, religious knowledge, fake religious knowledge and religious wisdom, or they try to sprinkle it with fake, inaccurate statistics. And they do that to try and make women enter cages inside their own heads, because they know that otherwise they wouldn't stand a chance against the competition, and that scares them. What's ironic is it's as if they've forgotten the very essence of femininity and the very essence of being a woman. The very essence of femininity and of being women is that we have the choice. We get to choose whether or not we want somebody in our life, whether or not we want somebody in our space, whether or not we want somebody in our hearts. And down to our very biology, our eggs get to choose which sperm they want to accept and by which they want to be fertilized, not the other way around. So as a woman, your duty to your femininity is actually to preserve that choice, to preserve that freedom, by not falling in this trap. I know it seems cynical and pessimistic, and you hear so many people say, yes, but with the right man, he's not going to want to violate your boundaries, you're never going to feel trapped, you're never going to be in a bad situation, he's not going to betray you, he's not going to abuse you, he won't cheat, he won't leave, and you basically won't have to worry. And although I agree, and I don't want you to think that all men are bad, I mean, I have a perfect example, many perfect examples of men not being bad, and men providing, and men doing everything until the last, everything they can for their wives and their families. There's also a reality that we cannot ignore, that people come in different shapes and have different mentalities. A man that you think to be good could actually be good and reliable and, have his head on his shoulders and honorable and have dignity. Or he could be an evil man who is really good at lying to you and disguising himself as a good guy. Think about it. How many stories have we heard of women seemingly being in the perfect marriage, having the perfect family, the perfect little life, just to be violently, physically and mentally abused, cheated on when they get pregnant, for instance, or when they give birth? That is up to 30% of all abuse cases, regardless of how long they were in the relationship or in the marriage. How many women have discovered after 10 years of being together just as soon as they get pregnant, that their partner is going to be abusive to them, that their partner is going to be unfaithful to them. And again, some people will try to blame the women. Why didn't you leave before? Why didn't you know about it before? Why didn't you feel it before? Aren't women supposed to be intuitive? Why didn't you listen to your intuition? But we forget that women's intuition has been ridiculed and put aside for so long that most women have lost their connection to it. They've learned to simply ignore it, or they just don't even understand when their intuition is screaming at them, telling them that, listen, this is a red flag, you need to leave, you need to stop. Why? Because we tell them that they are overreacting. We tell them that, well, you don't have proof, you're overreacting. What are you talking about? A gut feeling? You are absolutely insane, you are absolutely crazy. We gaslight women into never believing their intuition, and then we blame them for not listening to their intuition. So what's the best thing a woman can do in those cases? Look out for herself and potentially her children or her future children. Look out for yourself as a woman, even if you think you are secure in your relationship, even if you are loving and loved, even if you feel safe in this relationship today. Don't forget, what you feel today may be completely different from what you feel tomorrow. If you are in a relationship with a man who is not as good as you thought he was, as you truly believed he was, and after he blatantly lied to you about his character, or he betrayed you, and you discover the truth, then what is left to do when you realize that you completely and entirely depend on him, and that you have no resources whatsoever? What happens is you end up finding yourself in a precarious situation that sets you back in life. You could potentially end up broke or even homeless, or you stay with him despite the terror. You need to understand that financial independence gives you a parachute of sorts that you can use to jump off that plane before it comes crashing down and brings you down with it. Remember, darling, every woman who gave up her independence thought that she was special, thought that she was the exception, and that those things would never happen to her because her man was special and perfect. And the man used those beliefs against her. Now think about it, if your partner is truly good and reliable and he really cares about you and loves you, wouldn't he want you to be safe no matter what? Wouldn't the very idea of you being in precarity shake him to his very core? A kind-hearted man who truly loves you and cares about you and who is actually honorable would do anything for you to actually be safe, even if something were to happen to him and he couldn't provide for you anymore. So staying financially independent, even when you're fully being taken care of by your partner, isn't about being cold. It's not about being detached. It's not about distrust and thinking badly of your partner. No, it's about wisdom. It's about caring for yourself. It's about security, and it's about layering your options for your security, because people can change, because power dynamics also can shift, and nobody is perfect. Events could happen that would trigger behaviors in your partner that could be abusive towards you, or highly uncomfortable, or that would violate your boundaries. And unfortunately, even the nicest man in the world could potentially develop issues that you wouldn't be able to raise your children around. So what does it actually mean to be independent for you if you want a soft life, if you want to live that princess life? I am not talking about hyper-independence. I'm not talking about, not needing a man and not wanting a man and I can do it all on my own and I will do it all on my own, because you need to prove to the world that you can, or because you're too scared to be heard, or because you have completely rejected your femininity and you've completely rejected the idea of accepting being taken care of. Now, I'm talking about reasonable, healthy independence. It isn't about being a billionaire. It's not about being extra wealthy, about owning everything and leaving nothing to the man. It's about having options. It's about having the ability to make choices that don't depend on your financial survival, but that rather depend on your actual safety and on your desires and on what you want in your life, about your dreams. So if a corporate job, for instance, isn't for you and the hustle life isn't something that appeals to you, it's not something that you want to do, it is completely okay. You can still be a housewife, you can still be, a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home girlfriend, you can still have a soft life and be independent. You don't have to give up your family life. You don't have to give up, what you imagine to be your soft life. All you need is to have an income stream that is yours. That is yours and only yours, even if it's very small. I think most girls and women who watch me and follow me are into some type of professional activity because we are ambitious and we are independent and we want to make a name for ourselves. But if you're not one of them, if it isn't the case, that is also okay. If you are more of a homemaker, that is also okay. So in that situation, I want you to think long and hard about what you would want to do. What is something that you really enjoy doing, that you would be okay doing a bit more in your life, and that could potentially be monetized. It could be freelance work, it could be tutoring, it could be design. If you are an artist, you could sell your art or make prints. You could do pottery, you can open an Etsy shop. If, for instance, you don't have an education, you could sell baked goods, for example, if you like baking. Or you could get some certificates online, you could get an online degree. Now, if you have no skills whatsoever, then darling, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? Nowadays, even royals get an education. They get a degree, they go to university. And if they don't go to university, then they get some type of education in the military or something else, or at least some actionable skills that they could use and activate if they needed to. So in that case, if you have no skills, no education, no money, nothing whatsoever, your first step would be to acquire a skill, to start building your little toolkit of skills. It doesn't have to be highly academic if that's not the direction you want to go. It can be sewing, you could pick up baking, you could pick up cooking, crochet, knitting. What else can you do? Any type of skill that you would enjoy and that could be monetized. Remember, it's all about knowing that you could survive and live depending only on yourself if you needed to, and knowing that if everything fell apart, you wouldn't be destroyed. You would be able to pull yourself together and stand back up on your 2 feet and actually go out in the world and continue living your life. Now, the next thing you need to do is to save money. You need to put money aside so that you can take care of yourself and your pets or your children if you have any, so that if anything were to happen, you wouldn't need to beg or to, go do some jobs that you wouldn't want to do. You need to put enough money in your emergency fund so that it would last you long enough for you to get back up on your feet and to be stable again. On top of that, once you have your emergency fund, you need to put extra savings in another account, in a different account. All of these accounts could be high yield accounts. You can watch different videos on the subject here on YouTube. So that money that you save could potentially be used to finance a venture or to get you an apartment or to do something of the sort. But basically something that would push you forward. Obviously, you can and will start very small, but you need to put that in your budget. You need to think about it. It's not an afterthought. It has to be something you think about. And of course, all of these accounts need to be under your name only, not a joint account, not a pile of cash under the bed that your partner could take away from you. No, you need an account that is yours and yours only. Now, obviously, the best or maybe even ideal thing you could do on top of having your savings is to have some type of income stream that is more or less passive and that also is entirely yours. And yes, obviously, in order to build that up, you might have to be active and make active efforts and work actively for a little while. Now, there are many situations in which the women are stay-at-home mums, they are housewives, and they didn't have the privilege of financial comfort in their family that they came from. If that's the situation you're in, then I highly recommend having a conversation, a serious discussion with your partner to talk about what can be done to create a safe environment for you if anything were to happen, so that you aren't dependent on the relationship. One other thing that we often disregard and forget about is your support system, your family and friends. Sisterhoods save lives that otherwise would waste away in silence. So you need to build your support system. If it's not your family, then it should be your friends. That's actually partly what I want this community to be for all of you. A place where you can find support and compassion, a sort of sorority that would never let any of the sisters down, or a noble family whose honor and dignity depends on their deeds and on empathy and not on abuse or abandonment. And ultimately, this is why I am trying to grow this little secret society of ours, so that you, my dearest friends, can always have a place to come back and find the support that you need. Because even if you find yourself with nothing, if you have friends, you will never end up finding yourself completely alone and lonely in a precarious situation. So here's a little reminder that yes, being taken care of is a gift that you deserve if you are trying to build a family or if you're in a committed relationship. But it can be taken away from you, hence your independence being a total requirement. So keep your eyes wide open and your options alive, even when madly in love and when your partner is taking full financial responsibility and taking care of everything. A man who respects you and truly cares for you and truly loves you and truly wants you to do good in life and to be safe will be thrilled for you to have those options. He will be your first supporter, because love feels better for both partners when it's chosen freely, not when it's your only option and you cannot leave, because otherwise you're going to be in a precarious situation and so you need to stay with him. Now, darling, you have the privilege of knowing. I truly hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, I invite you to give it a little like down below. Just tap on the little thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you want to improve your life and your femininity, if you want to level up in your life, if you want to glow up from the inside out. I will be very happy for you to join us. And of course, follow me on social media, Instagram and TikTok, so that we can stay in touch. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye for now.